Sweet Science Brothers coming to you live from NYC. It's your boy Av, and I'm back with some more boxing for you today. Alright guys, the time is upon us. I've been wanting to talk about this for so long, but I've been up and down doing all types of shit. A lot of things going on. Haven't been able to get to it, but one of the most significant fights in boxing is happening Saturday. Terence Crawford versus Viktor Postol. This is for 140-pound supremacy. This is probably the best fight all year that's going to happen. The only thing that's as good, maybe better, debatable, is Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. But this fight is equivalent to that fight in its status, because the winner of this fight is the top undisputed #1 guy at 140. It doesn't matter if there's two other belts out there. This is the guy. The winner of this fight is the guy at 140. Same thing with Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. It doesn't matter that Adonis Stevenson is out there with the final belt. The winner of that fight is the man in that division. It's the same situation here. But I consider this fight even more significant than Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward. And the reason I feel that way is because with Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward, Terence Crawford and Viktor Postol is more significant, in my opinion, than Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. And the reason for that is that Andre Ward is coming up from 168. And other than fighting, Sullivan Barrera and fighting a blown up Paul Smith, and also he's blowing up Alexander Brand to 175. So the point is, we don't know how good he is at 175. And if Sergey Kovalev ends up blowing him out, destroying him, obliterating Andre Ward, everyone's gonna throw the excuse that, oh, he moved up in weight. He dared to be great. There's that exit for Andre Ward if he doesn't look good against Sergey Kovalev. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying there's an exit strategy. You can always say, oh, he went up from 168, so Kovalev was bigger, this, that, and the third. And Kovalev's not bigger than Andre Ward. They're the same size. They're going to be the same exact size come fight night. Anyway, I'm just saying that factor is there, the fact that Andre Ward is moving into the weight class. Now, with Terence Crawford versus Viktor Postol, the situation is totally different, because these are the 240-pound kingpins in the division fighting each other. No excuses. The winner of this fight beat the loser, and there's no, oh, he moved up, he moved down, this guy was bigger, that guy was bigger. None of that is in the equation in this fight. So for that reason, I consider this the most significant fight of 2017. Unless another surprising fight gets announced that we don't know about. Now, everybody who subscribed to the channel knows that I'm a huge Terence Crawford fan, but I'm also a Viktor Postol fan. And I'm going to say the same thing everyone else is saying, in that this is a 50-50 fight. It doesn't get more 50-50 than this. Now, a lot of people that I speak to, and I speak to, guys who are legendary in their understanding of boxing, and a lot of people are going with Postol, and I don't blame them. Viktor Postol has the height advantage, he's got the reach advantage, and he's the most underrated fighter in boxing. Viktor Postol is the most underrated fighter in all of boxing, bar none. The guy should be on the pound for pound list. They should put him in number 10. He should be on that list. He should be at number 10 or number 9. He should be there. I mean, when he knocked out Matisse, that was really stunning. At the end of the day, he's very underrated. He has excellent power, excellent defense, top-notch footwork, solid boxing fundamentals. I don't see any real weaknesses in Viktor Postol's game. And I'm being honest with you here. I just don't see much weaknesses in his game. Now, Terence Crawford, on the other hand, I'm a huge fan of his. I had lots of videos talking about him when I first started the channel. Something happened with my account and a lot of my videos got deleted, but it is what it is. So Terence Crawford, I'm a huge fan of his. I've been a fan of his before most people were. I actually like followed him in the nationals, and then as he became a pro, I watched his fights. I've spoken about him, how he's a throwback fighter. He's courageous. Okay, so Terence Crawford has lots of strengths, but he also has some very obvious weaknesses. Okay, Terence Crawford can fight on the orthodox stance or the southpaw stance. Very beneficial for him. It'll open doors and opportunities for him. When he needs to figure things out in a difficult and tough fight, which he hasn't had yet. But the fact that he could switch southpaw orthodox, that's a plus. Secondly, Terence Crawford has tremendous power in both hands. His power, I know a lot of casuals, they like to claim he's super powerful, and then a lot of hardcore fans like me will say, oh, he fought a lot of small guys, a lot of midgets, and they'll kind of critique the size difference between him and a lot of his opponents, and they'll say that's why he gets the knockouts. But the truth is that he has tremendous power. He has really good power. It's not overrated the way some hardcores want to say that Terence Crawford's power is overrated. No, it isn't overrated. Tomas Delorme, for example, was a solid 140-pound fighter. He was number 10 on the top 140-pound list, according to Ring Magazine, when Terence Crawford fought him. And it was the first fight Terence Crawford had at the 140-pound division. He had moved up from 135, and he fought at 140. I don't consider Tomas Delorme small. I don't consider him smaller than Terence Crawford. They were the same size. Terence Crawford played games, just let him get comfortable for the first couple of rounds, and then I think it was the 5th round, he knocked him the hell out and destroyed him. Totally finished him off. And I've heard other people say, oh, that was like an early stoppage, or he could have continued. I mean, I don't know what to tell you if you think that, because if the ref didn't step in there, Crawford would have just knocked him down 2 or 3 more times and brutalized him. He wouldn't have escaped that round. He wouldn't have escaped that round. The point is, Crawford's power, despite the fact that he fought smaller guys, his power is real. He'll knock out 140-pounders. He'll knock out welterweights too. That's a promise. That he has power. I know he has power, and he has power in both hands. So, when it comes to the attributes of Terence Crawford and Viktor Postol, and we look at the attributes, when it comes to power, they both seem to have pretty good power for their weight class, but I give Terence Crawford the edge on power because Terence Crawford has power in both hands, his left and his right. Which hand is more powerful? I'm not sure. It looks like the left hand is a little bit more powerful. So I give Terence Crawford the edge in power, but it's a slight edge. I also give Terence Crawford the edge in speed. I think Terence Crawford has better hand speed, better speed in general. I give Viktor Postol the edge in range. Viktor Postol has a good reach advantage over Terence Crawford, good height advantage as well. So he's going to have the edge in height and reach. And I also give Viktor Postol the edge in defense and technique. I think Viktor Postol is a much more disciplined boxer than Terence Crawford is. Now, there's an asterisk to this right here, okay? I'm going to say this. While I think Viktor Postol is the superior boxer in regards to defense and his solid technique, his jab, his straight right hand, the way he brings his hand back into a defensive position after throwing his punches, he is more solid in that category, but there's an asterisk to this. Because Terence Crawford has fought some guys that weren't necessarily dangerous with regards to their power and their size, it may be that Terence Crawford forgoed his defense and became more aggressive because he knew that he could get away with that when he was fighting guys like Thierry Jean and Hank Lundy. So we can say that it's possible that Terence Crawford's defense is a lot more solid than we think it is, And examples of that would be the Brandis Prescott fight, where Terence Crawford was very defensively responsible. His boxing was on top of the world, and he, outboxed the guy, and he showed that if he wants to cheese you down and score points, he can. Now, Viktor Postol is not comparable to a Brandis Prescott. I'm aware of that. I'm just using it as an example that when Terence Crawford fights a guy with proven power, and Brandis Prescott does have proven power, knocked out Amir Khan, he beat Mike Alvarado half to death, although Alvarado knocked him out at the end for one of the greatest comeback histories of all time. I implore everyone on my channel, watch Mike Alvarado versus Brandis Prescott. If you want to see heart, courage, determination, if you want to see what heart means in the sport of boxing, the attribute of, oh, this guy's got heart, watch that fight. Sorry for the tangent, but please, it's a classic fight. People don't understand the amount of, it's just amazing. Anyway, going back. So Terence Crawford's defense and technique, he may be more defensively responsible than we realize. Some of these guys were smaller, and I think Terence Crawford knew that and took advantage and kicked their ass. And I don't think you should blame him too much for that, because those were the guys that were put in front of him. Anyway, right? So, but Viktor Postol, as far as I can say, he gets the edge in defense and technique. I give him the edge there. Now, when it comes to intangibles, Terence Crawford has the edge here, because Terence Crawford can fight on the southpaw stance and the orthodox stance. And the thing is, right, as a Terence Crawford fan and somebody who's analyzed his style very well, he favors the southpaw stance a lot more than the orthodox. So the idea that he can fight in both stances, but he favors the southpaw stance. You can almost say that he's a southpaw who can fight in the orthodox stance, but he fights in both stances. And if he needs, let's say the orthodox stance isn't working out for him, he could switch to the southpaw, or vice versa. Or he can come out 2 rounds in one style and 2 rounds in the other and kind of find different openings. I just feel like when it comes to the intangibles, Terence Crawford has an edge. And there are a lot of unanswered questions for both of these fighters. And we're going to get those answers in this fight. So, like I said from the beginning of the video, this is really a 50-50 fight. It's difficult to predict this fight. My boxing brain tells me that Viktor Postol has an edge and would probably win unanimous decision. My boxing brain wants to go with Viktor Postol for the win. But my heart, okay, is telling me that Terence Crawford's going to pull that victory out. For the reasons, a couple of reasons, one of which is the intangibles, that Terence Crawford has more options. And the thing is, when you break this fight down and you look at it, it's like Viktor Postol is going to have the edge when it comes to the outside fighting. I think his jab is going to be superior to Terence Crawford's jab. Not by too much, but he's going to be winning the jabbing game and the range game. And Terence Crawford is going to be put in a situation where he has to press the pace, he has to push the action, okay? And from what I've seen, Viktor Postol has a tremendous capability of smothering opponents, clinching them, and shutting down their inside game. Very similar to Vladimir Klitschko, except he's better. I think he's better. Not a better fighter all around or legacy-wise. I just think he's really good at smothering guys because, at the 140-pound category, he's just really huge, And the way he was able to shut down Lucas Matisse. But what if Viktor Postol can't clinch Terence Crawford on the inside the way he did Lucas Matisse? You understand? Like a lot of people who are picking Viktor Postol, they're banking on the idea that, Terence Crawford's not going to be able to work on the inside, that he's going to get smothered the way Lucas Matisse got smothered. I don't agree with this assumption. I don't think he's going to get smothered like that. I think that Terence Crawford has a lot more tools on the table. I think Terence Crawford's inside game is incredibly dangerous. His hooks are deadly, his uppercuts are amazing, and I just think that he will be able to fight on the inside and do some big damage. I don't think that Viktor Postol is going to be able to clinch and shut Terence Crawford down the way he did Lucas Matisse. And not only do I think that Terence Crawford will do better than Lucas Matisse on the inside, but on top of that, Terence Crawford is the A-side here, and I don't think the referees are going to allow Viktor Postol to be clinching the way he did with Lucas Matisse. That's a luxury he is not going to have in this fight. He'll be able to clinch here and there, but it's not going to be that abusive type of clinching that he did to Lucas Matisse. I can guarantee you that. So therefore, on the inside, I think Terence Crawford has a tremendous advantage. I think that he's going to do some big damage there, but he's going to have to watch out for Viktor Postol's right uppercut. Viktor Postol has one of the best uppercuts in the game, although he doesn't use it as much as he should. I've seen it in the Seljuk Aydin fight, and I've seen Lucas Matisse get hit with it once or twice. For some reason, he don't throw it too often, but when he does, the accuracy is like 100%. I never seen him miss the uppercut, and it's very deadly. Terence Crawford's going to have to look out for that uppercut. But otherwise, I think the inside is going to belong to Terence Crawford, and the outside is going to belong to Viktor Postol. An important thing to note here is that while I say and feel that Viktor Postol will have an advantage on the outside and Terence Crawford's going to have an advantage on the inside, there's a big difference on the two categories and their advantages here, okay? I feel like the advantage that Terence Crawford is going to have on the inside is going to be a huge advantage. Like when they're on the inside, I just feel like Terence Crawford is going to get a much better on the exchanges on the inside. Now on the outside, I give the edge to Viktor Postol, but once again, it's not going to be the same kind of advantage because he's going to be a little bit better on the outside, but Terence Crawford's still going to score his points. He's going to do some good work on the outside too. Viktor Postol will be a little bit better on the outside, but Terence Crawford will score from the outside as well. So it's not going to be, I don't think Terence Crawford's going to allow Viktor Postol to dominate the outside entirely. I just think that Viktor Postol has the advantage on the outside, but I feel like Terence Crawford will be coming in and out and landing some good stuff from the outside. So you'll be seeing Terence Crawford landing some good shots on the outside as well, but on the inside, he'll be really dominant. And I just feel like this fight in my mind, okay, and now this is basically how I've broken down the attributes and how I see this fight. And now I'm going to give you like I'm going to give you my prediction here, but it's like, this is hard to predict this fight. And like I said in the beginning, I see this fight playing out two ways, okay? Two ways. Alright? I just see that Terence Crawford, like I see this fight coming out, Terence Crawford comes out, and they're both going to start, you know, they're going to feel each other out, range each other, but I just feel like this fight is going to get intense, and the action is going to be amazing from the... I think this fight is going to get hot after the first... it might even start getting crazy and aggressive in the first round, because both Viktor Postol and Terence Crawford understand that they need to win every round. Like, they can't... Especially Viktor Postol. Terence Crawford's the A-side here. So Viktor Postol understands every round must be contested. He cannot afford to give up any rounds. As for Terence Crawford, he also is going... He's going to try not to give up any rounds. In past fights, he's given up rounds where he didn't care, because he was fighting these like lesser opponents that he knew he was going to ultimately overcome and destroy. Also, Terence Crawford has a kind of... He has a way of... It takes him like 3 or 4 rounds to start really measuring his opponents. And during that time, he does take some hits and he gives up some rounds typically. But I don't think that's going to I don't think it's going to pan out this way for Viktor Postol. I think he's going to be a lot more technically sound and more careful. You're going to see basically Terence Crawford, his game is going to be upped because he knows that he's fighting the top guy. That's basically how I see things panning out. So I see this fight, you know, getting aggressive pretty quickly. Second, third round, big shots are going to start landing. Like, these guys are going to get aggressive. And especially Postol, I think he's going to need to. and Terence Crawford as well. So I see the fight getting aggressive, and the way I see it is this: if Viktor Postol is able to smother Terence Crawford's work in the first couple of rounds and bank those rounds, let's just say, because he's not going to be able to clinch and smother Terence Crawford the whole fight. It's not going to happen. Crawford's the A side. The ref won't allow it. He'll eventually get points taken away, and anything can happen. He's not going to be able to clinch Terence Crawford all night. Even if he has the physical capability, the refs aren't going to allow it. It's not going to happen. But if he can get away with it for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and I'm incorrect in my assumption that Terence Crawford won't be able to fight well on the inside and not allow Viktor Postol to clinch him, if Viktor Postol is successful in clinching and smothering Terence Crawford's inside game, and he can bank the first 5 or 6 rounds, it will force Terence Crawford to get very aggressive, which will create openings for Viktor Postol, and Viktor Postol may begin exploiting those openings and possibly knock Terence Crawford out, in the deep water, like 9, 10, 11. So that's one scenario. My boxing mind is telling me that, that's how the fight's going to play out. But I'm 50-50 on this fight. And the other scenario that I have playing in my head is the fight starting out aggressive, Terence Crawford doing a lot better than we think he's going to do on the outside. Okay? He's not going to be dominant on the outside, but he's going to do better than we think he's going to be on the outside. And then on the inside, he's going to, the way I feel, it's like he's going to be able to fight on the inside very well, and is not going to allow Viktor Postol to clinch him like that. Or he's going to make Viktor Postol pay a big dividends every time he tries to clinch, catching him with hooks and uppercuts on the inside, possibly turning him, so I see it that way. So the first way, Viktor Postol gets away with the smothering, shuts down Terence Crawford's inside game, banks the early rounds, forces Terence Crawford to get aggressive, and that creates openings that Viktor Postol exploits. The second way I see this fight going down is Terence Crawford doing a lot better than we think he can on the outside and dominating the inside game, hurting Viktor Postol, frustrating Viktor Postol, making Viktor Postol, basically, it's like my second prediction is that Terence Crawford really is an elite fighter that just happened to be slapping around lesser opponents for a little while, and he shows his greatness, and he takes Viktor Postol out and knocks him out in the deep water as well. So I see it, one way or the other. Either Terence Crawford or Viktor Postol, someone's getting knocked out. This ain't going to the decision. So it's a 50-50 fight, but I'm going with Terence Crawford for the victory. Will it be by knockout or by, unanimous decision? I'm thinking this fight ends with a knockout. But I'm going to go with Terence Crawford on this one, because I do believe that Terence Crawford is great. I do believe that he's elite. And this fight on Saturday will prove me wrong or right in that regard. But I do believe that Terence Crawford has all the goods and all the tools to defeat Viktor Postol. I mean, honestly, everybody's banking on Viktor Postol being able to clinch Crawford, smother him, and everyone's just looking at the Lucas Matisse fight. And, it was a great win, but at the same time, Lucas Matisse got his orbital bone shattered by Danny Garcia. And then after that, he had an incredibly tough fight with John Molina. John Molina cracked the back of his head open. He was bleeding from the back of his head, or I don't know if one of them was bleeding from. It was a brutal, brutal fight. And then after fighting John Molina, Lucas Matisse went and fought Ruslan Provodnikov. And that was a life or death struggle, which he outboxed Ruslan, but he took a lot of big hits. Like, Ruslan came back in the second half of that fight. So I feel like, Viktor Postol's getting so much credit for knocking out Lucas Matisse and finishing him off. And a lot of people aren't realizing that it's possible that Lucas Matisse was a very diminished fighter from what he used to be. those were a lot of wars and a lot of damage and a lot of wear and tear. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you guys something. I was a martial artist for about 10 years, and then I went into boxing for about 3. I didn't take boxing, like I wasn't an amateur or taking it serious. I trained seriously in the gym, but it was just to stay in shape. And I love the sweet science. You know, I've been a boxing fan since I was 5 years old. I bring up my past martial arts experience and my boxing experience to tell you guys that during the course of all those years of training, I got hurt several times. I had a pinched rotator cuff on my left shoulder, which I still suffer from. I had a medium level tear in my right shoulder. I injured my right ankle. To this day it clicks. But one injury I sustained, which taught me a lot, was an injury that I had on my ribs. I got a bad case of bruised ribs. It was incredibly painful. I had to take you know, couple of months off from training, and I couldn't spar for like almost 9.5 months. So whatever the case, I got back into training, back into sparring, and almost a year passed. I thought I was 100%. And the first time I took a serious blow in the same spot where I had the bruised ribs, the injury reoccurred. The moment the moment I felt serious impact in that injury, that previous injury just like resurfaced as though I never healed. It just came back, and it wasn't even like a big shot. I bring this up to you guys to tell you that some of these injuries you never ever truly recover from. It's like you take the medicine, you take the time off, you get back in the gym, you start training, you start feeling solid, but the moment you take big impact in that area, it just breaks or re-injures or whatever the case. Sometimes the body can take a particular type of injury. Some of these serious injuries, you never recover from them. They're always there till the day you die. You're just soft in that area. You've been hurt a couple of times there, and it's just an area where you're weak. A place of an area in your armor that's been tarnished or shattered, that no matter what you do, if you take a shot there, or if you get hit, or if you take impact in that area, it will just get hurt again. And I believe that that is the case with Lucas Matisse and his eye and his health. I just think that the man took a lot of damage in there, and it is what it is. I'm not taking away credit from Viktor Postol's win. It was an epic win, and it was great. But let's not pretend like Lucas Matisse was on a roll or on a rampage the way he was when he was on top of his game. When Lucas Matisse was on top of his game, before the Danny Garcia fight, he was walking through people, knocked out Lamont Peterson in 2 rounds. He was just destroying people. He was like he was just a killer in the ring, you know? And, the Lucas Matisse, the Viktor Postol fight, was a Lucas Matisse who shattered his orbital bone with Danny Garcia, had a life or death struggle with John Molina, and then had a brutal war with Ruslan Provodnikov. So, I mean, that takes a toll on you physically. So, and then after that, it's like, okay, Viktor Postol looked spectacular against Seljuk Aydin, but let's not forget that Seljuk Aydin was never proven to be elite, and he was really short, and on top of being short, he has exceptionally short arms too. His reach is awful. So, I mean, you want to talk about fighting midgets, that they don't come more of a midget than that guy. It is what it is. As for Terence Crawford, he's fought a lot of short guys, but let's put one thing in focus here. Viktor Postol and Terence Crawford do have a common opponent, okay? And that common opponent is Hank Lundy. And, I hear nothing but criticism from the YTBC and from a lot of people about, oh, Hank Lundy's a midget, this, that, and the third, Terence Crawford's fighting midgets, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, sure, you have a little argument there, but Viktor Postol fought Hank Lundy, and he went 12 rounds with him for a split decision victory. So, you know what I'm saying? My man TC went in there and knocked this guy out. So, yeah, he got hit a little bit, but you get hit when you're finishing people off. Gennady Golovkin gets hit too when a killer is going after his prey, trying to finish him. You're gonna get hit here and there. That's like what makes exciting fights happen, is that risk when you go in there and you go in for the kill. And Terence Crawford, You know, he is a natural finisher. He is a natural finisher. When he smells blood, when your knee buckles, when you show some type of weakness, he goes in for the kill. He goes in for the finish. That's why he's one of my favorite fighters out there. And, you know, so I'm not trying to diminish I'm not trying to diminish Viktor Postol's resume. I'm just trying to say way too much of the commentary and the breakdowns of this fight are being predicated around like that huge Lucas Matisse win and all that clinching, and everyone's kind of just putting all their stock in the fact that they think he's going to be able to smother and clinch up Terence Crawford the way he did Matisse. And, you know, it's just not going to go down like that. I don't think it's going to go down like that. Either way, you know, this video has gone on very long. I apologize, but at the end of the day, this is a fight worthy of talking about, worthy of making a video of. And the fact that I haven't talked about this fight for so long because of all the stuff that was keeping me away from the YTBC, I'm making up for it with this video. So I got Terence Crawford for the win, probably by knockout, late rounds. I just feel that Terence Crawford has the intangibles. I think he has more tools in his toolkit. I think, you know, I just think he's going to pull it off. I think too many people are just banking on this guy clinching up Crawford. Like, you know, we've never seen Crawford get clinched up and held down and been unable to work before. So I just feel like basing an entire prediction off of that isn't enough. On the outside, Viktor Postol will have a slight advantage, but it's not going to be as much of an advantage as people think it's going to be. Anyway, I got Terence Crawford for the big win, and it's going to be a close fight regardless of who gets knocked out, whether Terence Crawford knocks out Postol or vice versa, Postol knocks out Terence Crawford. It's going to be a great fight with a possible rematch. The winner of this fight should be pound for pound number 5, at least number 5 or number 4. It would be great if they took Andre Ward down a notch and replaced him with the winner of this fight. That'd be fantastic. That's what I would do if I was in control of the rankings. Anyway, the video has gone on long enough. I got Terence Crawford for the win, late round knockout or stoppage. But I won't be surprised if Viktor Postol gets a late round stoppage or knockout. Those first 5 rounds are going to be decisive. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you see Viktor Postol neutralizing Terence Crawford with the clinching, and I turn out to be wrong, and he's really getting neutralized there, you know, and he builds up an early lead, that's going to make things very dangerous for Terence Crawford. But if he doesn't bank those early rounds and it's competitive, you know, we got a hell of a fight coming up this Saturday. Let's put it that way. It's your boy Al from the Sweet Science Brothers coming to you live. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Holler at your boy. Peace.